Vinegar versus baking soda, the soil wake-up truth gardeners never expected. Most gardeners have a moment, somewhere between curiosity and frustration, where they reach into the kitchen and grab whatever is closest. Maybe you've splashed some vinegar around the base of a struggling plant, or sprinkled baking soda on a sour-smelling patch of soil just to, see what happens. Don't worry, you're in good company. Here at Soilpower, we love simple experiments, especially when they help us understand what's happening beneath our feet. But here's where it gets interesting. Those kitchen staples you think are harmless, one of them can actually wake up your soil's living community like a morning stretch, while the other can quietly bring that same community to a halt. So today we're diving deep into the real science, the real effects, and the real applications of vinegar and baking soda in the garden. And by the time you finish this article, you'll know exactly when to use them, how to use them, and, more importantly, when not to. If you've been part of the Soilpower family for a while, you already know our motto. Healthy plants start with healthy soil, and healthy soil isn't just dirt, it's a dynamic, pulsing ecosystem. Bacteria, fungi, protozoa, earthworms, nematodes, microarthropods, organisms that breathe, eat, compete, cooperate, and create the nutrient pathways your plants depend on. But here's the twist. These organisms don't thrive under just any circumstances. Microbes are picky. They react dramatically to moisture, temperature, aeration, and especially to pH levels. Shift that pH just a little too far in either direction, and suddenly the entire soil food web slows down, stalls, or collapses. That's why substances like vinegar and baking soda, so simple, so accessible, can have surprisingly powerful impacts. Let's break down what really happens when these two common ingredients touch your soil, and how you can use that information to empower your garden, not stress it. Vinegar, the acidic spark that can awaken soil life or destroy it. Vinegar seems harmless. After all, we cook with it, we clean with it, we even make pickles with it, but vinegar is still acid, acetic acid, and even in its mild household form, it can alter your soil environment in seconds. That change can be incredibly useful in the right context and extremely harmful in the wrong one. When you apply properly diluted vinegar to soil, something fascinating happens. The mild acidity temporarily shifts the pH downward. That momentary change helps free nutrients that are normally locked up in alkaline or compacted soils. Minerals like phosphorus, magnesium, and calcium suddenly become more available for plant uptake. Microbes that specialize in decomposition and nitrogen cycling wake up and get to work faster. It's almost like hitting the refresh button on the soil's nutrient processing machinery. But, and this is a big but, use too much vinegar, especially anything stronger than the standard 5% white vinegar, and the effect flips completely. Instead of a refresh, you've poured an acidic shockwave onto your soil's surface. Microbial colonies shrivel, earthworms flee or die, tender root hairs get burned, even hardy soil fungi retreat. What was meant to wake up your soil now sterilizes it. That's why responsible gardeners treat vinegar as a tool, not a cure-all. It's powerful, and that power demands respect. The safest way to use vinegar for soil stimulation is simple. 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in 1 liter of water, applied only when the soil is already moist and never under blazing sunlight. When used correctly, this dilution nudges the soil environment just enough to encourage biological activity without tipping the ecosystem off balance, and that balance is everything. Different soils respond differently to acidic inputs. Sandy soils, for example, lack buffering capacity. That means they react strongly and immediately to vinegar, making low dilution extremely important. Clay soils, on the other hand, can absorb and distribute acidic inputs more slowly, which, reduces the risk, but doesn't eliminate it. In alkaline soils, common in dry regions, areas with hard water, or neglected raised beds, vinegar works well as a temporary acidity booster. It loosens tight, mineral-heavy particles, helping microbes move more freely and increasing nutrient availability. Gardeners often report dramatic improvements in crops like tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and leafy greens after light, occasional vinegar use. In neutral soils, vinegar should be used sparingly, and only when you're trying to release mineral buildup or stimulate microbial activity before planting. In acidic soils, vinegar should be avoided altogether unless you intentionally need to lower pH in a targeted area. The key is always moderation. With vinegar, less truly is more. Now let's talk about baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. If vinegar is the spark, baking soda is often assumed to be the extinguishing counterpart, and in some ways that's accurate. Baking soda raises soil pH, which can make it helpful in overly acidic soil conditions. But, while vinegar can temporarily invigorate soil microbes, baking soda is more of a stabilizer than a stimulant. When you add baking soda to soil, it neutralizes acids, not just in the soil, but sometimes in the organic matter itself. This can be useful for gardeners dealing with sour-smelling soil, waterlogged beds, or compost-heavy plots where organic acids accumulate faster than the soil biology can process them. A mild baking soda rinse can bring things back into balance, giving microbes a more comfortable environment to operate within. But baking soda carries a risk vinegar does not: sodium. Sodium is notoriously destructive to soil structure when applied in excess. It displaces other important minerals, tightens clay particles, inhibits water infiltration, and can eventually form a crust on top of the soil. That crust becomes a barrier to air, water, and microbial movement. And with time, it can kill your soil just as quickly as overconcentrated vinegar. A gardener who uses baking soda frequently is on the fast track to creating a salt-rich, compacted, lifeless patch of earth. That's why baking soda should be applied only in very small, well-diluted doses, typically 1 teaspoon per liter of water. Even then, it should be reserved for specific scenarios: over-acidic beds, sour-smelling compost, or soils that have become unbalanced due to heavy organic matter additions. Unlike vinegar, baking soda doesn't increase microbial activity, it simply alleviates acidic stress. Think of it as a reset button, not an energy source. Now we arrive at the real question, the one that brings gardeners to the Soilpower channel eager for answers. Which of these two household ingredients actually wakes up soil life? The truth is simple. Vinegar, when used correctly, stimulates microbial activity. Baking soda does not. Vinegar plays a short, temporary role as a microbial activator by shifting pH just enough to unlock nutrients and signal microbes to work harder. Baking soda merely makes acidic soils more comfortable. If your soil's compacted, alkaline, or showing signs of low biological activity, a carefully diluted vinegar drench can help. If your soil smells sour or feels like a swamp, baking soda may restore balance, but it will not wake up microbial life. It will simply stop the acidic conditions from suppressing the organisms already present. The real magic lies not in vinegar or baking soda themselves, but in understanding what your soil actually needs before choosing one. A gardener who knows their soil's condition holds the power. A gardener who guesses risks unintended consequences. After working with thousands of gardeners and testing soil from countless beds, farms, planters, and compost piles, one truth becomes clear. Soil life needs balance. Microbes don't thrive in extremes. They don't thrive when one ingredient is overused or when an imbalance goes uncorrected. And they definitely don't thrive on quick fixes without organic matter to support them. Vinegar and baking soda don't feed microbes. They only influence the conditions microbes live in. If your soil lacks organic matter, is low in carbon, or is compacted beyond repair, no amount of vinegar or baking soda will save it. The foundation of your soil's life is always organic matter: compost, mulch, worm castings, shredded leaves, cover crops, and decaying plant material. Think of vinegar and baking soda like fine-tuning tools on an instrument. They can adjust the environment, but they aren't the music. The music comes from the living organisms that process carbon, build structure, cycle nutrients, and protect your plants from stress. You can use vinegar and you can use baking soda, but you should always use them with intention, awareness, and respect for the complex soil ecosystem you're influencing. Here on Soilpower, we believe successful gardening isn't built on products or shortcuts, it's built on understanding. When you know what your soil needs, you can give it the perfect conditions to thrive. Vinegar can be a spark, baking soda can be a reset, but neither replaces the foundation of consistent, organic, biology-first gardening. If you're experimenting with these ingredients, do it the right way, do it safely, and always pair your efforts with compost, mulch, and proper soil care. And if you want more insights like this, practical, science-backed, and gardener-tested, then you're in the right place. If this article helped you understand your soil a little deeper, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another grower who loves exploring the hidden world beneath their garden. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Soilpower so you never miss another soil-saving, plant-boosting tip. Your soil is alive. Let's keep it that way, together.